So the building you see in front of you is a medieval friary church. Now the building we see here dates back to the 15th century because in 1413 there was a fire here and it destroyed the church. It had been there for a couple of hundred years, so this was rebuilt. But the big question is, this is a friary church, so how come it survived? Why wasn't this all smashed up at the time of the Reformation, 1536, around then? Well, what happened was the king certainly would have had it smashed up, only the Mayor of Norwich, Augustine Steward, said, well, we can use this building for public use, we can have a booze up here from time to time, craft fairs and whatever, and that's how it managed to survive. And the point I'd like to make about this is for the Reformation, the point of the Reformation was just so that Henry VIII could get rid of his old and ugly wife and move on to a nice piece of skirt he'd found, who was insisting that they got married before she let him do anything with her. And so he had to destroy the monasteries, destroy these buildings. Now, instead of the destruction that followed, what could have happened, which would have been very good, is to put those buildings over to common use. They could have turned them into some kind of communal housing or anything of this nature. Of course, this is my more left-wing type ideology coming through, or maybe humanist ideology, because I'm not left-wing. But instead, it was just destruction, hatred. It engenders destruction, which engenders more suffering, because the amount of people and whose businesses depended on supplying the abbeys and the monks, that was completely forgotten about. Also was the welfare of the monks themselves, who really were quite innocent in Henry's desire to get rid of the Church of Rome in this country. And we look at some of these ancient abbeys and monasteries today. The ruins are still there. I mean, can you imagine the amount of work that went into building something like that? And indeed, can you imagine the amount of work involved in the destruction of something like that for the technology that existed at the time? Just once again, we see how religion and hatred stops the advancement of humankind.